Everyone, we're going to do a little bit of a flow class today. Just finding a nice sense of one thing spiraling into another, a lovely bit of spinal rotation, some hip strengthening and lengthening, and I think we'll just kind of see where the mood takes us today. If you like, you can have a cushion for under your head. I'm just going to grab mine now, and that is all we need. All right, so we will start lying supine, head on cushion. So just have a little bit of a wriggle when you get down there, and just see if you can find the most balanced position in your spine that you can. So you can just go for a little bit of a rock from side to side, just allowing one thigh bone to start to reach forward and then the other. And then as you're allowing that thigh bone to reach forward, you can just start to go for a little turn of your head in the opposite direction. And then as your head turns, maybe you start to allow that shoulder to come slightly off the floor. And if it feels good, you can slowly sneak your arms up a little bit higher. So they'll be coming more towards the height of your shoulder. And then maybe just start to allow that arm to come off the floor. So a little bit of a flowing motion, just allowing gravity to take over at that certain point. And then start to make that movement a little bit bigger. So we start to get a little bit of a roll from one side to the other. Letting your breath guide that movement as we go. Settling back into the center. So we're going to come into a little bit of a tuck and tilt of your pelvis. So just sneaking up on this movement once more. So you can start quite small and then gradually start to allow that movement to come into the rest of your spine. So you can start to make that a little bit bigger. And you can let that movement of your lower spine affect your head and your upper spine as well, slowly building all the way up into your spine curl. You're welcome to take the cushion away here if you want to. And then we're going to start to add a little bit of a movement outwards with your thigh bones on the way up, inwards on the way down. If it feels more comfortable, you can bring your feet a little wider for this. So just allowing that movement to move into your hip sockets. So it's almost a little bit of a, it's not quite a circle, but just letting gravity take hold of those thigh bones once more. Placing your hands behind the back of your head, you can just scoot your feet back into parallel and just start to find a little bit of an abdominal curl here. Of your breastbone and just letting your head remain nice and heavy in your hands. The bone here. As you get back to your shoulder blades, come back into that spine curl. So we have a little rock between those 2 points. See if we can eke a little bit more movement out of your spine with each rep. Up there on this next one, and then just go for a little bit of a caterpillar. Go for a little crawl forward with your toes, and then go for a little bit of a rewind back under your heels. So we're going to do that 3 more times, finding that nice length through your toes as we go. and then picking up your arches to sneak back. Just for those hamstrings. And then rolling all the way down onto your back. Let's take the cushion away for this next little bit. I'm just going to push it well out of my way. So just finding that nice T shape with our arms. So from here we're just going to start to come into a little side bend up and over. You can let your head just roll with that movement, and then taking that in the opposite direction. So having a little bit of a tree in the wind moment here. And as you're exploring this movement, just check in and see how your two sides are moving in comparison with each other. Very common to have one side that moves a little bit more. On what is your tighter side. So conveniently for me, that is the side where I'm facing the camera. And then from here, we're just going to scooch in and grab hold of that ankle. So we're in quite a big side bend. You can't see my arm. Oh, just sneak down there. Now you can see my arm. So we're in a nice little side bend in that position. And then from here, once again, we're going to start moving into that spine curl. So this can be quite an intense stretch through that side, maybe even a little bit through the front of your hip. Your head can either look up to the ceiling or you can let it turn towards the side, whatever feels more comfortable in your neck. Times. A little bit more into a hip stretch. We're going to leave your leg where your hand is where it is, and then cross the opposite foot underneath that. And then you can go for a little bit of a twist away, and then lower that hip back down to the floor. Little peel up, and you can let that movement start to come into your head and neck. This can give quite a strong quad stretch here. Into your heel to initiate that movement. And then we're going to start to find that little bit of a flow with those arms. So you can release that ankle, and again just come into a little throw overhead. And then release away. Opposite arm can just reach out beside your ear. And then let that arm and shoulder flow back down to the floor. Finding that little spiral through your spine. One more and end up onto your side. So just to check, I'm going to zip around so that I'm still facing the camera. You can follow my voice commands like a lovely dog if you wish. So from here, staying on that side, we're just going to take that into a little chalk circle. So finding that lift up and around. Lovely opening for your shoulder. We're just going to use that other arm as a pillow for today. Reverse, coming back in towards the camera or the screen, as the case may be. Circling all the way up and over, and just arrive with that hand on the floor. I'm just going to do a quick readjust so that you can see me. Got my bitten by the reformer bruise as always. So we're going to reach your arm and your leg out to straight. here, just go for a little diagonal reach, opposite arm and leg, and then go for a little stretch back the other way, lengthening away. Come forward as that leg reaches behind you, so we can start to find that nice opening through the front of that hip. Just going to catch forward, holding on to that foot, and just find a little bit of a hamstring stretch there just for a moment, because we can. Lengthening that leg out and just coming up onto your hands facing that side. So we're just going to start to find a little roll through, so like a little cat-cow type situation with your legs in this mermaid position. So you can let your back hip go for a little reach down towards the floor, and then just use your hands to have that little push forward. So again, let your whole spine move here. More times. Start to find a little bit more of a bend in those elbows. So you can move your hands slightly forward if they're in the way of your leg. And just start to get a little bit deeper into that forward bend or that flexion, pushing forwards with the heels of your hands. So a little bit more of a ripple, so going for a little dive through your hands and then coming back up and tucking your tail under. And then rippling forwards. In the other direction, so going for that little curl up and over, and then reaching forwards. I happen to be facing the right way to do the second side. So, finding yourself on to your side. No, we started on our backs, didn't we? There we go. It's all coming back to me now. So we're just coming back into that nice little sway from side to side. We may feel a little bit uneven in this movement now that we have done a lot of wriggling through one side. Just allow your head and your neck to follow that movement. Sneaking all the way over to find that ankle. If you struggle to get a hold of that ankle, you can always use a little TheraBand or a pair of tights or whatever you have handy, just to give you a little bit more of that grip, and then we find that roll up. So 8 is the magic number. Your ankle, see if you can allow that front of your ankle just to stay nice and quiet through your spine as much as possible. Find that little tuck of your foot, so either just your toes or your ankle. I'm just going to go for my toes today because the old quads are feeling a little bit tight, and then start to go for that little lift and lower. Heel, pelvis come back to that same point. As we drop down. And just start to find a little bit more of that flow. So finding that nice little throw up and over with that arm. A nice organic sequence through those joints. I cheat myself around so that I'm still facing the camera. To find our wee chalk circle. Yes, I have enough wingspan, good news. I feel like one gets a little bit longer doing these. Find sneak forward because I did get a little bit longer. So stretching out through that opposite leg, and we will find that nice little two-way stretch. You can point your foot at the back, flex as you kick through. Through and just catch your foot with that underneath hand. If not your foot, maybe a little further down your leg. And then swinging up to come and find that little mer person position. So we'll find those hands either side of that knee and just start to go into that little tuck and tilt. And this can feel quite different between the two sides. Neither side has got a whole lot more movement than my first side. Use of the hands to find that nice curve through your spine. That into that little bit more. What did we do second? Oh yes, love your ripple. No, we went hands forward. There we go. So going for that little bend and lengthen, just to get a little bit more space. In fact, it feels so different that I forgot what we did. Into your hands can really help to access a little bit more movement in your spine. Traditionally, Pilates is about starting from the center and working your way out. These days we tend to know that it can be a lot more effective to start from your extremities, your hands and your feet, to work your way in. Find that little seahorse, going for that little dive under. Swivel through your spine. Direction. We are just going to continue around to our 4-point kneeling. So in this position, just take a few little cat-cows. So just eking out as much room through your spine as you can. Center, and take one hand behind your head, push into the opposite hand and just start to find a little bit of rotation, and then pushing to come back. Two more of these little preparations. A leg, so we will go stretch away and then knee comes in, pushing out through that foot and then sliding back in. Really kick out through those toes and think of keeping balance through your pelvis. A little draw of your sit bone into your center line can be a helpful thought to keep you square. And now we're going to start to lift that leg, reaching and then curling in and lengthen away and then bring it back. Extend that arm and leg, and we go for a little tap beside you, and then back to your vertical. And this can be quite a lot in your wrist, so if you need to just pause and have a little breather, please do. Waistband stays level. Have a little rest in your child's pose. If you need, just take a little stretch of that wrist. And then we get to do that on the other side. So just going for that little preparation first of all, finding that little open and close. And seeing how much your spine wants to twist today. Add that little stretch and bend. Imagine you're moving through water. That lift of that leg off to your hip height. On the side, I'm not going to lie to you. And we tap down and up. Enjoying that stretch in my back leg, just saying. Check that we're widening through your collarbone on that supporting side. Down and just having that nice little stretch in your child's pose. Child's pose, make your way up to a downward dog. Oh. So just take a moment in your downward dog to do what you need. I always quite like a little sway from side to side so that stretch can move across my calves, particularly my injured one at the moment. You can go for a little pedal through your feet if that feels good. And then just pausing in the center. Have a little push back into your hands and really widen those shoulders. And then from here, we're just going to go for a little press down and up with those elbows. Little tap to the floor, little push away. Bit of a tricep burner. Times. Walk your feet in. You can bend your knees if you need to, and just have a wee second to fold yourself in half. Little shake and nod of your head. Down, and we'll find our gorilla pose here, just because I like it. So we're going to come and stand on your hands. Let your toes come to the creases of your wrists. Knees can be bent if you so desire. And really stand onto your hands. It can take a moment to get used to squashing your hands slightly, but it's actually quite delicious. Ever seen a gorilla do this? Your hands. Just have a quick little shake and nod of your head. And then from here, we are going to take your hands to the fronts of your shins. And as you roll up today, we're just going to walk up your legs. So again, finding that connection with your hands to help you really kick into those deep abdominals. Just be careful we're not pushing too much on those knees. So walking your way up. I quite like to do this if my back is ever feeling a little tight, to come up and just get a bit more connection. And then coming all the way up. Just have a little circle of your shoulders. And I reckon that's enough. I hope you have enjoyed this workout. I'm certainly feeling a little bit more awake and alive this Sunday, and I'll look forward to seeing you in the next one. If you enjoyed this video, please do like, click subscribe, plenty more coming your way, and I'd love to know the kind of workouts you'd be interested in seeing more of. Ka kite.